you guys were on a recent tour in Australia, and I just came across a video of you guys playing Mouth for War in Melbourne, and our crowd was totally digging it.
We just got Donnie Kelly in the band, which is a good old friend of mine. And, the thing with Vinny Appice was, one of my great acquaintances and, peer in the business. And he asked me to play bass on this stuff called Kill Little Hill. Now, in the process of that, we have to, when you put a record out, you have to tour on it.
Right.
And Vinny had all this other stuff that he was doing, and he didn't want to tour at all. So there's no bad blood there. It's just the fact that Vinny he only toured since this band started only 13 weeks.
Right.
So that being said, I had to have a drummer come in that I think could be very, faithful and to it. And Johnny's just such a great friend and everything else that it has become this relationship. The band is probably as good as it's ever going to get. Meaning that we're on a scale of 9 to 10. We are like 9.89. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's 99%. With Johnny coming in the band, I've always wanted to play a Pantera song, but I wanted the kids to know that I don't do that for a sellout. You know what I mean?
Right. I agree.
And so I was thinking about songs, and I was going, well, what is the song going to be that's going to be, that this band can play, and it fits kind of our style,
right?
Of what we do. And I started thinking, I was going, Phil and I played Mouth for War in January.
True.
And I never wanted to put one of those in because it doesn't feel right with me without playing with someone else in the band, like Philip or whatever. And we didn't even do that in Down. We never played a Pantera song.
Right.
And so I thought, you know what, let's throw this in a set, or let's, we went rehearsals with Johnny before we started up this tour for Australia, and we sat in the room and really got to know each other musically.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying? There's a difference between buddies and then just getting in a room and then picking out all the different parts.
Exactly.
And we've got this band, it is on fire. It's just shot that boom, next song, boom. And that's the feeling that I had, with the other three guys in Pantera.
Right.
That hunger and that feeling of that's what music's all about.
Absolutely.
Now in America these days, you have to pay to play to get where you're going.
Right.
And we're trying to find different strategies, or find us a niche in the world where we can go and play our music.
Right.
There's no big bands playing America now. I mean, it's all corporate crap.
I agree.
Because the scene is so, there's so many genres and subgenres of this thing that I started 20 years ago, or I should say Pantera. That, you know what I'm saying? It's rehashed crap.
Yes.
So my point being is that you really have to just kind of watch what's going on around you. I put out a great record, had to go through management changes, had the Vinny thing, everything else.
Right.
So we're fixing to go out here in 2 weeks and taking us to the masses, playing some really big shows in America. It's 30,000 people plus. And then playing a couple of dates along with my, I don't know if you ever heard the band King.
Not really.
They're these guys that I met in California, and I've been a big fan of theirs forever. And if you've never heard the band King, you need to go check them out.
I'll check it out right after the interview.
3-piece, man. They're fucking badass.
Awesome.
And so anyway, I've been wanting to play these shows with them, and we couldn't make half the run because of timing and scheduling. So here we are. We're fixing to go on the road here and go turn it up just a little bit, and then we're heading over to London and the UK and another just a few select markets in Europe.
Nice.
Here in June, and then we have plans for a lot of stuff coming up in the fall. So.
That's awesome. So you like to be on tour. I mean, I've seen Kill Devil Hell doing a lot of tours. But when you think about far beyond Driven era, the touring activities that followed the release of that album, and when you think about the touring now, what's the difference do you feel in terms of everything related to music?
Just let me say this: there's hardly any nurturing anymore in this business for any kind of new bands. Mm-hmm. Now look, I played in one of the biggest bands in the metal bands in the fucking 90s,
right?
And 2000, and we really made an impact. As far beyond Driven, 20 years later, the responsiveness, just what we just put out, has been, it's been
overwhelming.
We still sell a lot of records,
right,
on the fact that those were really good songs. It's all about the song.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And the timing was right, for where we slid in.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't write good songs, then you're never going to go anywhere. Now the difference between then and now is that the business is they're not nourishing the fact. They're just taking the hit of the day and throwing these kids out there with their paint on and all that kind of bullshit, and shooting lasers out of their ass or whatever the fuck they're doing.
Right.
But the whole thing is, they're not. That longevity is not going to last that long.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Compared to, and dude, and then, like I was saying earlier, with these subgenres of subgenres, dude, it all comes back to rock and roll.
Absolutely.
That's all there is to it. It's just music.
And it's pretty evident.
Now that doesn't mean my passion is, man, I got this gift, I want to share it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to. I can't sit on my couch. I gotta go hit the fucking road.
Right.
But right now, we just take a little break from America. We go overseas, and this Australia thing, it went down as a blast. It was just so fun to play.
True.
With Johnny and the band, just brought this new can of worms to be opened.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get him in the studio.
Awesome.
And I have some other plans that you'll know about shortly. But we're definitely going to be working on a little bitty side project.
Awesome.
With Kill Devil Hell and putting out some new material, and then then we get the fall.
That's cool. So Jam Pack 2014.
Yes and no. We're taking a look at different ways that we're going to continue. Yeah, it has been jam-packed from a business standpoint.
Uh-huh.
We've only played about 15 gigs in the States. But then and in Australia, so really it's getting the band back on board with the new member, with Johnny. And it's a totally different vibe than what it was before.
Right.
And it's really cool.
Agree with that. That's absolutely true. Now, you how hard is it for you to be cited and live under the name as one of the most influential bassists of all time?
Oh, dude, I wake up like everybody else. I get a cup of coffee. I do what I got to do in the morning. You know what I'm saying? I just put my boots on like everybody else does. I'm not this. It's not about my ego. It's just about getting out and playing for the people, and maybe, hey, putting a smile on their face, or writing a song that maybe touches them. That's what I've always been about. It's not about this facade of big rock star shit. Dude, I'm just not into that whole game.
Right.
It's about, I'm sitting here looking at a collection of guitars I have in my home in Texas.
Right.
And I'm going, man, that's fucking rocks. You know what I'm saying? I'm still, it's kind of like I'm still this little kid,
Right.
you know, that still gets that passion. You know, when I get on stage, it's like, you know, giving as much energy as I can to the crowd, and then giving it back to me. It's like jumping off a cliff
Right.
with the parachute, but with the parachute, but not knowing when to pull that cord.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's the feeling I get from still playing today. And you know what? A lot of people are missing that boat. You know, a lot of guys out there that have been doing it for a long time. They do it just for the cash, man. I don't fuck that. You know, it's all about the music for me. It's all about playing the song and writing that almighty song. You know, you're only as good as your last gig.
Absolutely.
You're only as good as that last song that you wrote.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so that being said, I write, you know, I move around constantly. I live out of suitcases. You know, I have my kids here in town that are very important to me and my family.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm always jumping around. Because the band is based out of LA, and I have another, you know, my private life is very different. So I'm moving around constantly. And I need to take a little breather and just stay put on my couch like I am right now for a little while. It feels comfortable.
It's awesome. You know, I've been following Pantera for more than a decade, and you know, I've hardly found any journalist talking about the song "Floods," where there's a define you moment. There's a bass solo in "Floods." I still wonder how did all that came about. Was that a conscious effort, or was that something you made up on the spot?
That was made up on the spot, and actually that bass track, and I know what you're talking about.
Right.
And people keep bringing that song up to me, and that was just, okay, let me put it this way. Pantera had this magic in a box, okay?
Absolutely.
When you open that box up, and the four of us were in a studio, now anytime we walked in that studio, we had a tape rolling. Regardless if it was just us sitting around bullshitting, or or me and Don would be fucking around with something.
Right.
We always captured that on tape.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that the tapes are rolling for the original recordings, but what I'm saying is, when somebody brings up a song like Floods, we were in the middle of a process of a very extreme record.
Right.
You know, and I think that at that point, I'm just telling you the honest truth without, this candy-coated bullshit you hear from every other guy that plays in a rock and roll band.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's great. And, no,
Sure.
fuck that, man. Dude, that was a very magical experience. And the bass track that you hear on that record is a first take with me and Vinny playing together.
Wow.
With the original drum track. That was just it, dude. We were so tight with each other in playing that we just knew what was going to happen. So there was a lot. I think Great Southern Trinco was more of an experiment for us musically than anything we had done before. Because everything was so precise up to that point. And then we did Southern Trinco. I listen back to it now and I go, what the fuck were we thinking?
Right.
So which is cool because, look, I look back at it and I go, but I take myself out of the picture, and go, and listen to the music and go, God damn, that was pretty fucking cool, man.
I understand.
I couldn't listen to Reinventing the Steel for many years because of what happened to Dime.
Wow.
It just brought back too many memories that maybe I didn't want to relive.
Right.
And it was not an extreme record. I mean, it wasn't a hard record for us to put out, but at the same time, I just couldn't listen to it because when you lose your brother like that, man, I'll just say this. Something happens like that, you shy away from it. I've listened to it recently. Somebody made me sit down and listen to that record. incredible. If Don was still around, this band would still be relevant. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
It would still be happening.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It would definitely be happening, regardless of what went down. This band didn't break up, it broke down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We toured for 12 years straight, and record tour, that we just needed simply a break. We should have all been put into fucking a padded cell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's how crazy we were.
Right.
You know,
I agree with that. You know, given the time, do you think, you know, you guys as Pantera could have penned down one more album or played some more, you know, some more live shows?
Well, I'll just go on the record as saying that I'm open to anything like that. You know what I'm saying? It has to do with Vinny. So whatever Vinny wants to consider in the future, I'm all ears. You know what I'm saying? I'll just put it that way. You know, Philip and I still had this very, very good relationship, and I wanted to keep that. That's the reason I kind of departed from Down.
Right.
There were a bunch of circumstances why, but we had played together for 24 years together since we were kids.
Right.
You know, and I wanted to keep that relationship intact with him, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. And me and him, we had to rebuild that band and make it into what it is today, and I'm very proud of this guy. You know,
I understand.
Kirk is no longer there with him. He's one of my best friends. You know, you keep friends in life, and they're your musical partners, and it's like a marriage. You know, it really is. So you know, Philip and I, when we get together, we don't even have to talk. We can just look at each other and know what each other's going to say.
Right. I agree.
You know, so it's a great feeling, and I'm so glad that our relationship is like that. And I want to, you know,
absolutely,
champion that. You know,
I understand that. You know, I really appreciate, you know, it kind of gives me a lot of satisfaction that, you know, even after so many decades, you've been on roll, you've been writing music daily, and, you know, it's, you never felt that, okay, I need to slow down. And I really like that sort of passion in a musician who works, who lives for music. You know, hats off to you.
That's all I do. I mean, what else do you have? I mean, I'm not going to change at this point.
Right.
You know, all I can do is just keep kicking. You know.
Yeah. I understand.
I just have to keep kicking, keep going, and do everything I can. You know, and that's it. Kicking and scratching, my friend. That's it. You know, with the climate that goes around with this business, it changes like every week. You better stay on top of it.
It's like weather. It changes daily.
It's not like the old days, you know.
Right.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
But you know what? At the end of the day, it's all about me getting on stage and maybe putting a smile on someone's face.
Yes.
And I know that I've said that before, but that's really what it boils down to for me. And that's what it's always been for me. I'm not one to talk in the press and, you know, want to make a big deal about myself. I'm not that ego guy, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand that. I completely agree with that. You know, Rex, you have spent so much time creating music with so many bands and projects you've been part of. I always wonder, in your prolific career, have you ever felt that there is something which Rex Brown hasn't done till now?
Yes. Look, I got the best band in the world that I could possibly play with right now.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's getting out and going and playing for these people and showing I got a badass band. You know, this is what I'm thrilled about right now.
Right.
This is what is doing it for me. Now, look, Pantera, you know, we did what we did. But you did is a lot of hard work, you know, and it's not, and I'm doing the same hard work now that I was doing then. Even with Down, I'm a hard-working individual.
Right.
And that being said, you know, that you have to look at it from all sides.
Absolutely.
It's just not a one. You know, just because I played in this band called Pantera doesn't mean that that's the whole definition of who I am.
Right. I
mean, just because you're doing the interview doesn't mean that, and you have me on the phone doesn't mean that that's who you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do you get that picture?
Yes.
It's a much bigger picture than at the end of the day when it's all said and done. You know, like I said, you're only as good as your last gig or the last song you wrote.
Absolutely.
You know, so it's always a constant, and for me, you know, it's always a constant trying to perfect or move on and change and perfect my craft
right.
of what I do.
Right.
You know, so yeah, there's all kinds of stuff I want to do, dude. I mean, trust me. I mean, it takes time to put those things together, and I plan on. Look, if right now I'm the happiest and healthiest I've been in a very long time. You know, so I feel 10 years younger than I did, say, a year ago. You know, yeah. You know, that's just it.
That's awesome.
That's what life is all about, dude. It's life.
Yes.
You know, I'm not this mythical character that lives in a castle somewhere on the. You know, look, man.
Right.
We all do what we got to do, man. You know, shit. Fuck this rock star shit. I'm not into it. You know.
Awesome.
I'm just like the jam. I'm still the same way that I was when I was 17. I still just love to jam. Go plug into an amp and let's go get it kicking.
Right.
You know, that's all that matters to me. I'm not this fucking whatever you think I am. You know, I want to misspell that myth altogether because I'm just a straight shooting guy, and I'll tell you the truth, and I'm not going to bullshit you. And you know, that's it.
I understand that. I appreciate that. And you know, there are people here in India who follow your skills, your prophylactic music you have created for decades, and they want to know when is Rex Brown and company coming to India with Kill Devil Hill.
As soon as I get an offer, you know, nobody has approached this, and you know, what bands go over there and play?
If I have to open the list, probably we'll be talking for another 2 or 3 hours because from past.
There's a bunch of bands that come over there.
So many bands, not just once. There are bands that have come twice.
That's a crazy thing. You know, we got invited to play Tel Aviv once with Pantera, and then we got invited twice to play Tel Aviv with Down.
Cool.
And so the first time with Down, and we went and played Tel Aviv, you know, in Israel.
Right.
And it was, you know, from being in America, you know, some of the stuff is the politics involved.
Right.
Of getting a band over to someplace like that.
True.
Now, once we got there, it was the coolest thing. One of the coolest places I've ever been to.
Awesome.
You know, playing Istanbul, you know, with Metallica, you know, it was just incredible.
Incredible, right.
You know, I mean, I could tell you story after story of all the gigs I've played in different countries where it's just been amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does India have a really strong market? I don't know. You tell me. I would love to come over. How many cities can you play in India?
There are 4 major cities in India, but there's one city which is called as the metal capital of India, and that is Bangalore.
Bangalore?
Yes.
Oh, dude, I would love to come play there. I've never been to India. I want to come.
Wow.
Hey, man, I want to play every place I possibly can. You know what I'm saying? I've played around the globe, I don't know, fucking 12, 15 times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just not saying one time, but, you know, saying in general of my career of, you know, I've been to every country, but the ones that I have missed are the Indias, you know, I'd like to go over and play, you know, the Hong Kong, and I'd love to go play the Indochina China, places I've never been before is what I would like to take this music to, because that you're opening up a whole new can of market of what you're bringing this badass band over to.
True.
And that's what it's all about. It's all about making those new fans, and I've always wanted to go to India. I remember, I'm an avid, just voracious reader of books, you know, and I heard the story of, when I was a kid, I read, Jimmy Page and Robert Plant coming over to India.
Right.
They just wanted to experience it, and I think they went to Bangladesh.
Right.
So there's a bunch of places I want to play, and I know there's a market there, but how big is the market? That's what I'm saying.
You're right. I understand that.